In the world of NFL drafts, some stories are as much about missed opportunities as they are about success. The tale of quarterbacks who fell through the cracks of the league's scouting systems is a fascinating one, showcasing how evaluations often miss the mark. Historically, the NFL has been a league of surprises when it comes to the quarterback position. While some of the most celebrated names in history were drafted high, others, like Joe Montana, were selected in the third round. Undrafted players, such as Kurt Warner, have risen to stardom, while quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, drafted as a clear-cut number 1 overall pick, cemented their status as legends. Yet, there's an undeniable trend. The NFL's reluctance to embrace certain types of quarterbacks, especially those who don't necessarily fit the traditional mold. The narrative surrounding players like Matt Ryan, who was drafted after Jake Long, and even the rise of Brock Purdy, famously known as Mr. Relevant, illustrates how some of the league's most prolific passers were overlooked. Drew Brees, for instance, was picked in the second round by the San Diego Chargers, with the Miami Dolphins passing on him entirely. As history has shown, these decisions often lead to what can only be described as revisionist history, with many wondering what might have been had the league taken a different route. At the center of the conversation this draft season is Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who has been the subject of heavy debate. Some critics argue that the NFL has failed to appreciate what Sanders brings to the table. They claim that the absence of eye-popping off-platform throws and long bombs might be why he isn't being valued as a first-round pick. But there are others who argue that Sanders excels in the essential areas of quarterback play, decision-making, and accuracy. His ability to make precise throws and read the game is what has set him apart at every level of competition. These are the qualities that separate good quarterbacks from great ones, and many experts believe Sanders possesses these traits in spades. What's perhaps most intriguing is the pattern of teams passing on Sanders. Despite his consistency and skill, the NFL's reluctance to select him early speaks volumes about its current preferences. Offensive coordinators are increasingly enamored with quarterbacks who can make jaw-dropping, improvisational plays rather than those who are known for their traditional pocket passing prowess. There's no denying that quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, who can make throws from any angle, have reshaped the position, and in doing so, have influenced how young quarterbacks are evaluated. However, this emphasis on the unorthodox might be causing teams to overlook the players who thrive within the traditional confines of the pocket. Sanders might not possess the same flair as some of his contemporaries, but his ability to play with poise, maintain accuracy, and make sound decisions under pressure is what the most respected quarterback coaches in the league admire the most. As the draft continues, the question remains whether teams will recognize the value in a player who may not make the most highlight reel throws, but excels in the fundamentals that truly define a great quarterback. This dynamic is not unfamiliar to those who follow the league closely. From the days of Johnny Manziel to the present, the NFL has witnessed a pattern of passing on quarterbacks who might not fit a particular mold, only for them to turn into stars elsewhere. Teams that decide to pass on Sanders now may well look back and regret it, just as they have with other quarterbacks who were dismissed for being too traditional. After all, how many times have we seen quarterbacks defy the odds to become legends? For Sanders, the question now becomes, how far we fall in the draft. There's a clear disparity between how NFL teams view his potential and what many analysts believe he can achieve. As of now, only one quarterback has been selected in the draft, with teams perhaps hesitant to pull the trigger on Sanders early. This uncertainty around his draft stock only adds to the intrigue surrounding him. As the second round approaches, there's a growing sense that Sanders, despite his skill set, may end up being a bargain pick, a player who should have gone much earlier, but who could turn into a steal for whichever team decides to take a chance on him. The question isn't whether he can play at the NFL level, but whether teams will recognize his potential and commit to developing him in the right system. Meanwhile, other teams are making bold moves to address their needs. The Atlanta Falcons, for instance, are hoping that James Pierce Jr., a dynamic edge rusher from Tennessee, can solve their long-standing pass rush issues. The Falcons have struggled to find consistent pressure on the quarterback for over a decade, and Pierce's combination of power, speed, and size gives him a potential game-changer on the defensive line. This pick, though far from the glamour of the first round, could prove to be one of the most impactful selections of the draft. As the draft continues to unfold, there are plenty of opportunities for teams to make value picks that will pay off in the long run. Players like Donovan Asuraruku from Boston College, with his eye-popping sack numbers, and Trayvon Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, are expected to make significant impacts. These players, while not necessarily in the spotlight, have the potential to reshape franchises, much like the quarterbacks who were once passed over by the NFL. The question is whether the league is ready to recognize their potential, or they will continue to miss the mark on talent that doesn't fit the mold. The draft might just be the beginning of a long journey for players like Shedeur, who, despite being overlooked, could very well become the next great NFL quarterback.